They fired him on a Friday. By Monday, the company was gone. They told him to pack his desk on a Friday afternoon. 10 years. Gone in 10 minutes. But here's what they didn't know: he wasn't just another employee. He was the one person holding their entire world together. And by Monday morning, that billion-dollar company would completely vanish. This is the true story of the greatest corporate revenge that never made the news. If you love stories about underdogs who win against impossible odds, hit that subscribe button right now. You won't believe where this goes. His name was David Reed. 42 years old. Wore the same gray jacket every day. The kind of guy who brought his lunch in a brown paper bag and never complained about anything. Nobody really noticed him. That was his superpower. For a decade, David worked in the basement of Titanic Solutions, a tech company worth $1.3 billion. While executives held meetings in glass conference rooms 30 floors up, David sat alone with his computers, making sure everything worked. He wasn't a manager. Wasn't a VP. Wasn't even invited to the holiday parties. He was IT infrastructure. The invisible man who kept the lights on. But there was someone who noticed him. Her name was Sarah Kim. 28. Worked in accounting on the 12th floor. She had this habit of staying late, just like David. Sometimes she'd bring him coffee around 9 p.m. when the building was empty, just black coffee, no words, just a small smile. They'd never even had a real conversation. But for 2 years, that coffee at 9 p.m. became the only thing David looked forward to. He never told her. She never asked. Some connections don't need words. Comment below, have you ever had a connection with someone that never needed explaining? Drop a red heart. Then came that Friday. 3:47 p.m. David's phone buzzed. A message from HR. Please come to conference room B immediately. He took the elevator up, something he rarely did. His heart was beating fast. In 10 years, he'd never been called to a conference room. The door opened. 3 people sat at a long black table. The HR director. Some lawyer he'd never seen. And him. Brandon Voss. The new CEO. 31 years old. Harvard MBA. Slicked back hair and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He'd only been CEO for 6 months, brought in by investors to modernize and optimize. David, Brandon said without standing. We're restructuring. Moving IT to a cheaper vendor overseas. Your position is being eliminated. Effective immediately. David felt the room spin. I've been here 10 years. And we appreciate that, the HR director said with a rehearsed sympathy. You'll get 2 weeks severance. Security will escort you out. 2 weeks? For 10 years? Brandon leaned forward. David, let's be honest. Your role is outdated. We're a modern company now. We need people who are dynamic. Who innovate. You're just maintenance. Just maintenance. Those words hit harder than the firing. The security guard Tommy, who David had helped fix his daughter's laptop last Christmas, stood at the door, unable to look him in the eye. Box your personal items. You have 15 minutes. David rode the elevator down to the basement in silence. His hands shook as he packed his few belongings. A coffee mug. A photo of his mom. A small cactus plant that somehow survived in the fluorescent light. Then he saw her. Sarah stood in the doorway. She must have heard. David. He couldn't look at her. Couldn't let her see him like this. I'm sorry, she whispered. This is wrong. It's fine, he lied. I'll be fine. She stepped closer. For a moment, he thought she might hug him. Instead, she pressed something into his hand, a small piece of paper with her phone number. In case you ever want to talk, she said softly. Then she was gone. David stared at the number. 10 digits that suddenly meant everything. Smash that like button if you're already feeling this connection. It gets so much deeper. As he packed his last box, David's computer screen caught his eye. An error message. Small. Blinking in the corner. System backup failure, 47 days. His blood went cold. 47 days. The automatic backup system he'd built, the one that protected every single file, transaction, and piece of data in the company, had been failing for 47 days. And nobody noticed because he wasn't there to check it. No, wait. He was there. He'd been monitoring it the whole time, manually running backups himself when the automated system glitched. It happens sometimes. No big deal. Except now he wouldn't be here to do that anymore. David pulled up the system logs. His fingers moved across the keyboard, a language nobody else in the building understood. What he found made his stomach drop. It wasn't just backups. The new cheaper IT vendor Brandon hired to replace him? They'd already started migrating systems. Moving everything to their servers. But they'd done it wrong. Completely, catastrophically wrong. They'd deleted the old data before confirming the new systems worked. Every safety protocol David had spent 10 years building, gone. Erased to streamline the process. And the new system? It wasn't even turned on yet. It was scheduled to go live Monday morning. David pulled up the architecture. His eyes went wide. The new vendor had built everything on a single server. No redundancy. No backup. No failsafe. If anything went wrong, the entire company's data would simply disappear. 10 years of client information. Financial records. Proprietary code worth millions. Gone. And it would go live in 72 hours. David sat back in his chair. The security guard knocked on the door. Time's up, buddy. He should tell someone. He should warn them. But then Brandon's voice echoed in his head, "You're just maintenance." David picked up his box and walked out. Saturday morning, David sat in his small apartment staring at his phone. Sarah's number was still in his hand. He typed a message 3 times. Deleted it 3 times. What would he even say? Then his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "How are you holding up?" It was her. Sarah had texted first. His fingers trembled as he typed back, "I'm okay. Strange being home on a Saturday. Want to get coffee?" Real coffee, not the office machine stuff. 20 minutes later, they sat in a small cafe David had passed 1,000 times but never entered. "I'm sorry about what happened," Sarah said. "You didn't deserve that." "I should have seen it coming," David replied, staring at his cup. "I wasn't important enough to keep." "That's not true." Her voice was firm. "Do you know how many times the entire network crashed before you came? The company literally couldn't function. You fixed everything. You made it stable." "They don't see it that way." Sarah reached across the table. Her hand stopped just short of his. "I saw it," she said quietly. "I saw you stay until midnight fixing servers. I saw you skip lunches to help people with their computers. I saw you, David." He finally looked up at her. Really looked at her. "Why did you bring me coffee all those nights?" She smiled, sad and beautiful. "Because you looked so alone down there. And because... I don't know. I wanted you to know someone noticed you were there." For the first time in 24 hours, David felt something other than numbness. They talked until the cafe closed. About everything. About nothing. About all the conversations they should have had years ago. When they finally left, the sun was setting. "David," Sarah said as they stood on the sidewalk. "Can I ask you something?" "Yeah." That look you had when you left yesterday. Like you knew something. What was it? He hesitated. Then told her everything. The backups. The migration. The disaster waiting to happen. Monday morning. Sarah's face went pale. We have to tell someone. Who? The CEO who just fired me? They won't listen. I'm just the maintenance guy, remember? But people's jobs are at stake. The whole company. They made their choice, Sarah. She looked at him for a long moment. You're going to let it happen. It wasn't a question. I'm going to let them learn, David said quietly, what maintenance actually means. Comment right now, should David have warned them? Or did they deserve what's coming? Monday. 6:47 a.m. David sat in his apartment, coffee in hand, watching his old work laptop. He'd kept it, technically a violation, but nobody had asked for it back. He could see everything. Every system. Every server. Every ticking time bomb he'd spent 10 years preventing. 7:30 a.m. The new IT vendor's migration went live. For a moment, everything seemed fine. 7:45 a.m. The first error messages appeared. Small things. Login issues. Slow loading times. 8 a.m. The trading floor couldn't access client accounts. 8:15 a.m. The entire customer database went offline. 8:30 a.m. Emergency meetings erupted across every floor. David's phone buzzed. Sarah. It's chaos here. People are panicking. They're calling you. I don't work there anymore, remember? David, people are going to lose their jobs if this company goes down. They fired me on a Friday, Sarah. Gave me 2 weeks for 10 years. Did they think about my job? His phone rang. The caller ID showed the company's main number. He declined it. It rang again. And again. Finally, he answered. David Reed. Brandon's voice, but different now. Scared. We need you to come in immediately. There's a situation with the servers. I don't work there anymore. David, please. Something's wrong with the migration. The vendor says it'll take days to fix. We'll lose everything. Sounds like you need someone dynamic. Someone who innovates. I'm just maintenance, remember? Silence on the line. How much? Brandon asked quietly. What do you want? David closed his eyes. Thought of every late night. Every missed dinner. Every time he'd been invisible. I want my full 10 years of severance. I want a written apology. And I want Sarah Kim promoted to senior financial director with a 40% raise. Sarah? What does she have to do with? Those are my terms. You have 1 hour. After that, I'm turning off my phone. He hung up. 59 minutes later, David stood outside the Titanic's building. Sarah was waiting at the entrance. You came, she said. Did they agree to the terms? Yes. All of it. Brandon signed everything. She paused. But David, the promotion. Why did you ask for that for me? Because you're the only person in that building who saw me as human. And because you deserve it. She stepped closer. Come back. Not for them. For you. Because I know you, David. If this company collapses and people lose their jobs, you'll carry that guilt forever. Even if they don't deserve your help. He looked up at the building. At the windows where people were probably panicking. People who'd walked past him for 10 years without a glance. What if I just want to watch it burn? Then you wouldn't be the person I'd been in love with for 2 years. David's heart stopped. What? Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Why do you think I brought you coffee every night? Why do you think I stayed late even when I didn't have work? I was waiting for you to see me too. Sarah. Save them. Not because they deserve it. Because you're better than they are. Because you're the kind of person who fixes things, even when they're broken by people who should have known better. David really looked at her, and saw everything he'd been too afraid to see for 2 years. He kissed her. Right there on the sidewalk, he kissed her, and the world disappeared for a moment. When they pulled apart, she was smiling through tears. Go, she whispered. Go be their hero one more time. David walked into the building. Tommy. Brandon stepped forward. Can you fix it? David walked to his old terminal. His fingers moved across the keyboard, that same language nobody else spoke. Lines of code filled the screen. The room held its breath. It'll take 4 hours, David said. Everyone needs to leave. I work alone. They filed out without argument. Sarah was the last to leave. She looked back once, smiling. David worked. And 4 hours later, the systems came back online. Every piece of data intact. Every client account restored. Like nothing had ever happened. When he emerged, the entire office was waiting. Someone started clapping. Then another person. Then everyone. David walked past them all. Picked up his box of belongings from where security had stored it. Brandon caught up to him at the elevator. The board wants to offer you a position. VP of Technology. 6-figure salary. Full benefits. I don't want it. Then what do you want? David smiled. I already got it. Sarah's promotion. My severance. And the knowledge that you finally understand what I was worth. The elevator doors opened. Sarah was inside, waiting for him. Going down, she asked, smiling. Yeah, David said, stepping in beside her. I am. As the doors closed, Brandon called out, will you at least consider consulting for us? David looked at Sarah. She squeezed his hand. Send me an email, David said. I'll think about it. The elevator descended. So, Sarah said. What now? Now. I'm taking you to dinner. A real one. Not cafeteria food. Is this a date? It's the date we should have had 3 years ago. She laughed, a sound he realized he wanted to hear for the rest of his life. The elevator reached the ground floor. They stepped out into the Monday afternoon sunshine, leaving Titanics behind. 3 months later, David opened his own consulting firm. Turned out, when word spread that he'd saved Titanics from complete collapse, other companies wanted his expertise. He hired a small team. Paid them well. Never made.
And Titanics? They eventually went bankrupt anyway. 18 months after David left. Turned out, maintenance wasn't the only thing they'd neglected. But by then, David didn't care. He was too busy building something better. Something where every person mattered. Where nobody was invisible. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction, it's building a better world without them. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button right now. We have hundreds more stories about ordinary people who did extraordinary things. Drop a comment, what would you have done if you were David? Save the company or let it burn? And if you know someone who's ever felt invisible at their job, share this video with them. Because everyone deserves to be seen. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.